To understand where this all began, let's go back to January 1st, 1948. Indian soldiers were moving through Jammu and Kashmir, pushing back armed tribal fighters who had entered the region from Pakistan's side. India was close to taking full control of the area, but suddenly something changed. Instead of continuing the military operation, India took the issue to the United Nations. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru asked the UN to step in and help solve the conflict. What had started as a defense operation now turned into a global diplomatic issue, one that still affects India and its neighbors today. Just a few months before that, in October 1947, tribal fighters with help from Pakistan invaded Kashmir. The ruler of Jammu and Kashmir at that time, Maharaja Hari Singh, signed a document called the Instrument of Accession, which made his state officially part of India. The next day, Indian troops were flown in to protect the people and the land. They moved quickly. In just a few weeks, they pushed the invaders back and were close to taking full control of the region. But with the UN now involved, a ceasefire was announced. That ceasefire came into effect on January 1st, 1949, and it froze the situation. A large part of Jammu and Kashmir remained under Pakistani control. Over time, this area came to be known as Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, or POK. For India, this wasn't just a loss of land. It was the start of a long journey to bring back what was legally and rightfully part of the country. Today, Pakistan controls two main regions that are part of POK. One is called Azad Jammu and Kashmir, spread over 13,300 square kilometers with about 4 million people. The other is Gilgit-Baltistan, which is larger, around 72,000 square kilometers, and has over 2 million people. Pakistan runs these areas through local governments, but India and the United Nations do not recognize Pakistani control. According to India's constitution, these areas still legally belong to India. To the outside world, this may look like a small border issue, but for India, it's a matter of law, justice, and unfinished responsibility. In 1963, Pakistan made another move that India strongly disagrees with. It gave about 5,180 square kilometers of land in the Lashkar-e-Taiba Valley to China. This area was part of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. India has never accepted this. The Indian government continues to say that Pakistan had no right to give away land that doesn't belong to it, and China had no right to take it. But that's not all. Over the years, China has built roads, tunnels, and other infrastructure just 50 kilometers away from the Siachen Glacier, a high-altitude area where Indian soldiers stay posted in some of the world's toughest conditions. This construction is part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, a huge project worth $60 billion, which runs through parts of POK. For India, this is not just about trade, it's a serious security concern. It brings both China and Pakistan closer to a sensitive military zone. Another major issue is terrorism. Many reports over the years have shown that terror groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed have used POK as a base to train and plan attacks against India. These groups are believed to have links with Pakistan's intelligence agency, ISI. One recent example was the Pahalgam attack in April 2025. These aren't just headlines, these are real lives lost in Mumbai, Pulwama, Uri, and many other places. For India, POK is not just a map issue. It's about the people who lost their lives, the families still waiting for justice, and a promise made to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. But POK also has huge strategic value. It connects India to Afghanistan, Pakistan's Khyber region, China, and Central Asia. If India regains this region, it could have access to ancient trade routes, especially the Silk Road, which would reduce dependence on trade routes through Pakistan. POK is also rich in natural resources, especially water. The Indus River and its tributaries flow through this region. These rivers are important for India's future energy and water needs. In a world facing climate change and water scarcity, this land holds more than just emotional value. It could be key to India's survival and self-reliance. So how can India reclaim POK? Not just through military action, but through a smart, careful, and multi-layered approach. First, through diplomacy. India can keep raising the issue of terrorism at platforms like the United Nations and the Financial Action Task Force, FATF. These forums can bring international pressure on Pakistan and reduce its access to foreign aid. Second, by supporting peaceful movements within Pakistan. Regions like Balochistan have long demanded more freedom and rights. India doesn't have to interfere directly, but it can support the voices of those seeking justice within international rules and human rights laws. Third, India must stay militarily prepared. The Indian Army is among the best in the world in high-altitude warfare. But any direct action in POK comes with risks, especially with China's growing presence in the region. That's why strong global partnerships are important. India's ties with countries like the United States, France, Japan, the UK, and Australia, through platforms like the Quad, can give diplomatic support if tensions rise. But the risks remain. POK is heavily guarded, the land is tough, and Pakistan does not follow a no-first-use nuclear policy, which means any military action could lead to a dangerous escalation. That's why the road forward needs patience, preparation, and planning, not just power. Still, India's claim is clear and strong. Even today, 24 seats in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly are reserved for representatives from POK. This is not just a formality, it's a silent message. India has not forgotten. India has not given up. POK is not just a place on a map. It's a commitment in the Constitution, a promise to the people, and a matter of national pride and duty. This is not about revenge. This is about restoring what is right, not about hate, but about healing, not about war, but about justice and unity. For 75 years, this part of our story has remained open. But today, as India grows stronger, more confident, and more respected around the world, that story is closer to its final chapter. The journey to reclaiming POK won't be short, it won't be easy, but with strategy, strength, unity, and above all, patience, it's possible. And when that day comes, when the whole of Jammu and Kashmir is part of India, not just in law, but in life, it will not just be a win on the map. It will be a homecoming, a healing of history, a moment of truth. POK is not forgotten. It is a part of India's heart, and one day it will return. Not through force, but through faith, strength, and the will to do what's right. But this is not just about history. It is about the future. POK is not a forgotten region. It lives in every map printed in Indian textbooks. It echoes in every session of parliament where 24 seats are kept empty, waiting for voices from across the line of control. It is a silent promise to generations, past, present, and future, that India never gives up on its people. This isn't about lines on a map. This is about the soul of the Republic, about the dignity of every citizen who never got to choose their country, about the vision of a unified, sovereign, and peaceful India as imagined by the framers of the Constitution. And that vision still stands strong. For 75 years, this chapter remained open but never ignored. It was studied, debated, prayed over, and defended in war and diplomacy. And when the day comes, when POK returns not through force, but through faith, it will not just be a geopolitical event. It will be a homecoming. And until that day comes, India moves forward, not with anger, but with awareness, not with haste, but with hope, not with division, but with unity. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay informed, stay aware.